Good morning, my dear students and all my dear viewers. I am Dr. Sajjad Pasha, presenting my topics, my sessions. Now, this session is number 9. We are in progress with the chapter Indian Contract Act of 1872, relating to the subject business regulations of third semester BBA. In the previous two sessions, we have discussed about the Indian Contract Act, offer and its various essentials. And now in this presentation, we will discuss about acceptance, acceptance and its various essentials. As it was told in the previous discussion that offer and acceptance constitute the fundamental aspects for a valid contract. So when an offerer has made an offer, proposal to the other party, then there must be acceptance from the other party also. Unless and until the offer is properly accepted, then there will not be any a contract, or there cannot be any legal relationship between the offerer and the acceptor, between the two parties. So let us start the today's discussion on acceptance and its various essentials. Acceptance and essentials of a valid acceptance. When an offer is a starting point of a contract or agreement, acceptance is considered as the end point of it. So both offer and acceptance are the starting point for entering into a valid contract. According to section 2B of the Act, acceptance is when the person to whom the proposal is made signifies his assent thereto, the proposal is said to be accepted. A proposal, when accepted, becomes a promise. So, in the first discussion itself, I had told that the law of contract, the Contract Act comes into picture when there are promises, when the promises are made by the parties. So when once the proposal is accepted, it becomes a promise, and there start the implications of the Contract Act. Thus, acceptance given to a proposal converts a proposal into a promise. So now acceptance is willingness of the other party that he has accepted the offer, he has accepted the proposal made by the proposer, made by the offerer. So in order to give his acceptance, there should not be any coercion, there should not be any threat, there should not be any undue influence. The acceptor must give his acceptance to the offer out of his own willingness. Free acceptance must be given. So, like offer valid, there should be a valid offer. There should also be a valid acceptance to make a contract or an agreement valid one. So now let us discuss various essentials of a valid acceptance. It must be properly communicated. It is very, very essential that there should be a proper communication between the proposer and the acceptor. The proposer must communicate his proposal, his offer properly to the other person. Similarly, the other person must also convey his acceptance to the offer, to the proposal properly. If offer and acceptance both are not properly communicated, then there may be disputes and it leads to invalid of acceptance and the offer. So it must be properly communicated. Then the second essential is it must be absolute or unqualified. It must be absolute and unqualified. So the acceptance must be given. Acceptance must be given to the offer which has been made. Acceptance offer is different and the acceptance is different, then there cannot be a valid acceptance. So there must be absolute and unqualified to the acceptance. Then the third essential is it can be expressed or implied. It can be expressed or implied. The first point states that it must be properly communicated. The communication of acceptance can be in writing, can be may not be in writing. If it is in writing, if it is in spoken words, it can be considered as an express acceptance. Or if the acceptance is conveyed through conduct, through body language, then it becomes an implied acceptance. Both express and implied acceptance are acceptable, are valid. So, acceptance conveyed through spoken words, acceptance conveyed through written words, or acceptance conveyed through body language or the conduct are accepted for the acceptance. Then it must be made by a different person. It must be made by a different person. Means acceptance must come from the person to whom the offer is made, to whom the proposal is made. It must be made through prescribed or reasonable mode. if if the offerer has put a condition that how the acceptance must be conveyed, if it is essential to convey the acceptance in writing, then it necessitates the acceptor, it necessitates the other person to convey his acceptance through the prescribed mode or the reasonable mode. Otherwise, it becomes again an invalid. Then mere mental acceptance is no acceptance. If a person has accepted the offer made by the offerer in his mind, in his heart, then it is not an acceptance. Acceptance must be expressed or it should be conveyed in through code of conduct, through body language, etc. Because if we mentally accept something, then uh, the other person may not be able to understand whether it is accepted or not. So there should be some kind of expression, either through words or through body language or through gestures or through the conduct. So mere mental acceptance is no acceptance of the offer. Then it must be made within a reasonable time. If the offer is made with a condition that the acceptance must be conveyed within a certain specified period of time, then acceptor must convey his acceptance, must communicate his acceptance within that specified period of time. In the previous discussion, it was told offer offer can be revoked due to lapse of time. So if the communication of acceptance is not communicated within a reasonable time prescribed by the offerer, then acceptance cannot be a valid one. So it must be made within a reasonable time. Then it must be preceded by an offer. Means acceptance comes after the offer. Before making an offer, acceptor cannot give his assent, cannot give his consent, cannot give his acceptance. So offer is first, acceptance is next. So acceptance is always followed by an offer. So it must be preceded by an offer. So these are some of the important essentials of a valid acceptance. When offer is properly communicated and when acceptance is properly communicated, then an agreement or a contract will come into effect between the parties. Thank you so much for viewing this session.